All right. Well, hello and welcome to today's Zinc webinar. My name is Nicole Sanders. I'm a Director of Marketing here at Zinc and will be moderating today's webcast. You see here on the screen the title of today's webcast is Field Service Productivity Just Got Better with Integrated Communication. As you've probably seen, just a few weeks ago, we announced a new integration to ServiceMax, which is GE Digital's field service software product, which we're excited about, and we'll be going into more detail here today. We're also happy to have with us Gaurav Verma from ServiceMax GE Digital join us as we discuss the reasons why we did this integration, and he'll kind of talk about the value that brings to your organization. Our webcast is scheduled to last about 30 minutes today. We are recording today's session and we'll make it available to those of you on today's webcast and to those that registered and couldn't attend. We'll be answering questions at the end of the session, but you can feel free to submit your questions as you have them, as they come to mind, by clicking on the small orange arrow on the right side of your screen, and we'll take those, we'll answer those questions at the end of the session. So now I'd like to just introduce to you our speakers today. Today we have with us two presenters, Scott Ewart and Gaurav Verma. Scott's our product manager here at Zinc, and he and I are together in our office here in San Francisco. Scott was formerly an engineer here at Zinc, and he's very keen on ensuring our product matches the needs of our customers. So I think he's a good candidate to be talking about this integration today. Scott will be showing a bit of a day in the life scenario with you later in the presentation. But presenting first is Gaurav. He's a senior product marketing manager at ServiceMax, where he's focused on evangelizing sort of the mobile technician enablement and entitlement areas to field service management audiences. So again, great topic for today for Gaurav to be presenting. So with that, Gaurav, you want to go ahead and get us started?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Nicole. Thank you very much for having me here today. So let me start by actually telling you a little bit about ServiceMax. So we are a leader in field service management, and we have been recognized by Gartner in the Magic Quadrant for 3 years straight. Of course, we are part of GE now, but how that really came about was that GE was a customer of ours first, before the acquisition. And we were adding so much value to them that they actually made us part of their growth strategy now. And today we are empowering enterprises or service organizations as such to deliver uninterrupted equipment performance, optimize their service operations, and grow their services revenue. So overall, we have more than 400 customers across the world, and they span across various industries as well. To name a few, medical equipment, industrial manufacturing, or high-tech manufacturing, and many more. Some interesting tidbits about us. There are now over 300,000 technicians using ServiceMax to service more than 130 million assets across 26 million locations across the world. And we also ran the numbers in a different way, and we came up with an interesting statistic. On an average, we process a work order every 3 seconds. So let's go to the next slide, please. So I want to talk a little bit about the value that we provide. At a very high level, we help our customers achieve 100% equipment reliability and maintain critical compliance for your industry so that the world can keep running. And I think that's very important. So how do we achieve that, right? Firstly, our ServiceMax solution delivers productivity through a mobile solution that empowers dispatchers and technicians to do their jobs better and faster. Secondly, we help grow services revenue because technicians can not only use the tools or mobile solution to see what services is the customer actually entitled to, but they can also upsell additional services at that location when they're at the customer site. And if the customers have a good experience with the service provider, more than often they tend to renew the service contracts and purchase more services. Thirdly, we help increase visibility at different levels, and that could be at the technician utilization aspect or the equipment information or warranties and contracts. I think this is very important for the management to take informed decisions. Lastly, we help service organizations achieve compliance by helping maintain a digital trail. So you can audit it anytime, or by automatically, we also facilitate by automatically scheduling regular maintenance jobs, or even by providing checklists for the technicians for compliance. Next slide, please. Well, as they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? So every year we go out and talk to our customers to find out how did ServiceMax really help them achieve their business outcomes. So per the latest customer survey that we did, here are the average improvements that we got. They cover 6 areas. We have productivity, profitability, customer experience, equipment performance, and compliance. What I'd like to point out here is a few interesting statistics that are relevant to our discussion today. On the bottom left of the hexagon, the big hexagon image that you see, you can see that ServiceMax delivers an average of 19% increase in technician productivity, which is actually like giving back their Friday, you know. In fact, CubeGV, a customer of ours in the UK, was able to add an incremental capacity of servicing 10,000 more jobs per year due to ServiceMax, and that translated to additional revenue for them as well. And if you look diagonally opposite to this, that hexagon, you will see that ServiceMax has delivered a 10% average increase in service revenue. I'm excited to share that one of our medical device customers, Medtronic, was able to achieve a 22% increase in services revenue through service contracts. And on the very top, you can see that ServiceMax delivers an 11% increase in Net Promoter Score on average. You know, I think this is significant because customers are the bread and butter of any organization and they're very key to growth. So we have a great example here. MilliporeSigma doubled their Net Promoter Score, or in other words, they actually achieved a 100% increase in the Net Promoter Score by using ServiceMax. So overall, our customers have seen some really good business outcomes with ServiceMax. Let's go to the next slide, please. Well, so all this is great, but it's good to be grounded, right? So let's do a quick reality check of the technician pain points. So technicians really love solving problems for their customers, but one of the key frustrations that they face in the field is that the field service solutions may not be sufficient for them to do their job. I think this is particularly insightful, given that we are living in the information age, where we are expected to have modern tools at our disposal. So I think it certainly behooves us to investigate more on this. Next slide. Interestingly, for the Service Council, 29% of the technicians say that they spend their time looking for the right information. Now, this is clearly not efficient, and it impacts their productivity, because they could be using this valuable time in solving the customer issue at hand and then moving on to the next job, right? Next slide. It also looks like 63% of the technicians said that they need better access to knowledge. So needless to say, having the right knowledge helps them succeed better in the field by solving customer problems, which is also what they enjoy the most. So the question would be, how can we overcome this hurdle? I guess the most common answer would be by having a better online knowledge base. But if you just think deeply enough, while it's important, it's certainly not enough. Sometimes when you are in a time crunch, you just need quick answers. And there's nothing like talking to a real person who has distant knowledge about the specific problem at hand. Next slide. This is why having modern collaboration solutions is really critical to the success of field service technicians. Just have a look around us. You know, the way we communicate today is changing. Technicians expect the same ability to collaborate on the go with chat, audio, and video conference that they have on consumer applications, you know. On top of this, there's really something to be said about keeping the communication contextual and not having to switch between different apps or screen to get your answers. In fact, I would say that this is a very interesting topic in itself. And when I was researching it, I came across some interesting statistics. If you do heavy multitasking, your IQ can go down by as much as 15 points temporarily. And it can take up to 23 minutes to get back on track. And I'm sure you don't want to be in that boat if you have a customer SLA to deliver, right? Next slide. So to enable contextual information access, ServiceMax enables app-to-app communication ability from our field service application into other useful apps through deep linking in a very secure manner. So this delivers a seamless experience to technicians when they want to accomplish related actions, like say they want to accept a payment for a service, or they might want to look up a product manual. And so essentially, this ability opens up several use cases and enhances field service productivity significantly. And one of the very important use cases that it enables is that of contextual group communication for faster problem solving. So today we are really very excited that Zinc has chosen to do a full integration with ServiceMax to unlock the potential of technician productivity. So at this point, I'd like to pass it to Scott to talk more about this exciting integration.
All right, thanks, Gaurav. So to get started, I'm going to give a quick overview on Zinc. Basically, Zinc offers an all-mode communication platform specifically designed to keep teams connected in the field. And by all mode, I mean Zinc gives you a lot of different ways to communicate. You get texting, voice and video calling, push-to-talk, file sharing, broadcasting, and more, just all in one place in one app. The app is designed to look and feel like familiar consumer messaging apps, which makes it really easy for people to use. But unlike consumer messaging apps, Zinc has enterprise-grade user management and data security. Plus, we offer powerful analytics that give leaders insight into how their team is communicating and working together. The ServiceMax and Zinc integration makes it easier for people to communicate in the context of what they're working on. You can instantly get in touch with anybody who's ever worked on any given installed product or everyone associated with a work order. When a tech has a question or needs help with something, all the right people are at their fingertips. And those teammates the tech is reaching out to, they can see all the context behind the question in ServiceMax. There's no need for the tech to explain all the details. They can just hop over to ServiceMax and check it out and kind of get fully up to speed. Plus, all that communication is accessible from ServiceMax too. So if you're going back later and you're looking at a work order or something, anything in ServiceMax where there was some communication or some conversation among techs, you have all of that right there. It's captured and archived in Zinc, so you capture all that tribal knowledge and history. The techs can reference these past conversations too to understand maybe a kind of weird situation they're seeing, and they can kind of see how it was solved in the past, or an explanation for why things are the way they are. And of course, managers get insight into who is helping whom and how, and kind of how that all is working. So let me give you an example of how all this works. I'm going to walk through a little scenario showing Zinc and ServiceMax working together. There are 4 characters in this story. First, there's Rich. He's a new service tech on the team. Then there's Andy. He's one of the more seasoned techs. He's seen it all before and knows how to fix just about anything. There's Amy, who's the inventory manager back in the office. And finally, there's Quan, the VP of Field Ops. So today, Rich is on site at the Good Samaritan Hospital. And here's his ServiceMax screen on his iPad showing information about the particular product he's working on, an ultrasound Logic 500MD. And there's a lot of information here. You can see, when it was ordered, when it was installed. Some of you are probably familiar with ServiceMax, but it's a lot of really powerful information here that he has. In any case, continuing with the story, the machine isn't working, and Rich has done all the routine checks to figure out what's wrong, but he just can't figure it out. So he decides to see if somebody on his team might be able to help him out. He taps on the Actions button here in the upper right-hand corner. Then he taps on the Zinc button, and that takes him over to Zinc and lets him start a new conversation around the specific installed product at the Good Samaritan Hospital. So now he's looking at the Zinc app, and you can see his recent conversations are over on the left, and this new conversation about the Logic 500MD is on the right. The buttons at the bottom on the right side let him send different kinds of messages. He could take a photo or record a video right from Zinc, or he could send a file or an audio message or send his location. In any case, he just sends a quick text message in this scenario. The client has an ultrasound Logic MD that's not working. I've done the usual checks, but it's still not working. Anyone familiar with this that can help? Andy, the senior tech, gets Rich's message on his phone. So now we're looking at the Zinc iPhone app on Andy's phone. And as you can see, it's pretty similar to the desktop app, and it looks a lot like familiar texting apps. So Rich's problem with the LogicMD sounds familiar to Andy. Yes, I saw something similar to this last week. I can try and help. Let me search the part I worked on last week to find out what was the resolution. So Andy searches and finds the Zync conversation from last week. And he looks over the conversation and is reminded that the problem was ultimately with the circuit board. It could be the circuit board. Could you open it up and grab a pic of it? Now, Andy has different options for how he could explain the problem to Rich. He could tap on the telephone icon in the upper right-hand corner and start a call. He could do a video call, or he could tap on the icon just to the left of the phone and start a push-to-talk conversation with Rich. But in this case, he sticks with text. And Rich sends a photo of the circuit board. Okay, it'll likely need to be replaced. Contact Amy in inventory to see if we have any in stock. So now Rich goes to get in touch with Amy. And he could just send her a message or call her, but instead he adds her to this existing conversation, and that way she can see all the context around the request right there. She can see why Rich is asking for this part, and she can quickly go from Zync over to ServiceMax just by tapping on the embedded link, where she can see all the details about the installed product, the work order, or customer. Amy's in her office. She gets a notification that someone added her to a conversation in Zync, and she sees Rich's message. Hi, Amy. I'm looking for a circuit board for a Logic 500MD. Can you check if we have some? Let me check for you. Can you send me your location so I can tell you where the closest pickup is? So Rich sends his location. Great. The closest is at the South Street warehouse. I'll let them know you need it. And Rich can head over there. He can get the part. Everything is kind of worked out and coordinated. Now, fast forward a couple hours later, back in the office. Quan, the VP of Field Ops, has heard that there was a problem with the work order at the Good Samaritan Hospital. And so he brings up ServiceMax and he looks at the work order. Then he clicks on the Zync link so he can get more insight into what happened and how his techs handled the situation. And so now he's looking at the conversation from earlier in the day here in the Zync app. And right away he can see that there was yet another unusual circuit board failure in a Logic 500MD, and that the standard diagnostic procedure that Rich had followed just wasn't giving him any clue to look for the circuit board. And you can also see that Andy jumped in right away to help out the new guy, and Andy's just been awesome and super helpful. So as the scenario shows, bringing Zync and ServiceMax together makes it easier for teams to get their work done faster. It puts all the know-how of that entire team and the context of what they're working on just right at everyone's fingertips. Now, this story primarily touched on Zync's messaging functionality, but I just want to kind of, highlight that Zync does also offer, voice and video calling, broadcasting, being able to send out information or alerts to lots of people, maybe your entire team all at once. And you get analytics that help you understand how people are working together. You get user and group management and other administrative controls. And all of this is built on a secure enterprise-grade foundation that meets tough compliance and security standards. And it all runs across all the major mobile and desktop operating systems. I'm not going to go over all these details, but there's lots of stuff there that you could always refer back to. But finally, just stepping back for a minute, I want to touch on the guiding vision at Zync. Fundamentally, there are two things that you need to get the job done in field service: workflow and knowledge. And every day, each individual team member is applying their own knowledge to perform their workflow. But communication just supercharges the entire team because you give everyone access to everyone else's knowledge. There's a saying that no one of us is as smart as all of us. Well, I think when you have a really connected team and everyone is just communicating effortlessly, then all of a sudden everyone on your team has access to all the know-how and experience of everyone else on your team. And then, basically, effectively, each of us is as smart as all of us. And communication in the context of relevant workflow information is even better, especially when it's coming from an industry-leading application like ServiceMax. So we're really incredibly excited about this step forward and helping field service teams stay connected and perform at their best.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. There's a lot to see, a lot going on there, but hopefully you all got a good taste of how that integration works and could be useful for your organization. So go ahead and submit any questions you have, and we'll take those now. There was a question that did come in about the name of the conversation. So can you change the name of a Zync conversation created from a ServiceMax object?
Yes.
Scott, if you want to take that one.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, you can. So, by default, the conversation that gets created from a ServiceMax, work order or product or any object, it's going to have the name of that thing in ServiceMax. But if you want to change it to something else, if your kind of operating protocol calls for you to organize conversations differently, name them differently, you can certainly change it. Or you could follow the protocol of just keeping them named exactly like they are in ServiceMax.
Okay, very good. And then Gaurav, there's a question I think it came on during your presentation, but it says a question related to knowledge base. And so the question is, what are the plans for making the object solutions work in Lightning? Hopefully you can answer that on the spot.
Yeah, sure. I think so. That's a great question again, and I think spot on too, because we are working pretty aggressively to make all portion of ServiceMax as compatible to Lightning UI as possible. We do understand that it delivers a very modern user experience. So keeping that in mind, in the upcoming release, we are actually going to deliver some major UI overhaul to the work order screen, and you'll see that when that actually comes out. But I would definitely say that we are working very aggressively to make all portions of ServiceMax solution Lightning compatible as possible.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So another question that came in specific to you, Scott, is can they add people to a conversation even if they don't have Zync? And you might have touched on that, but I think giving a little bit more explainer there is helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, you can. You can add somebody to a Zync conversation by their email address. So even if the person doesn't have Zync already installed on their phone or tablet or computer, you can invite them to join the conversation via their email address, and they'll get an email and a kind of a join link that will bring them right to that Zync conversation.
Okay, great. And another question here, what setup is required in ServiceMax for the integration to work? And I guess, Scott, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so really it's just a matter of adding, enabling custom links to Zync from your ServiceMax configuration. And, really, any ServiceMax administrator would be able to do that pretty quickly. So it's a matter of just asking your administrator to enable those for you, linking over to Zync. We have a very simple, deep linking protocol that it's, easy to enable for any ServiceMax instance.
Okay. And another question here. It says also, how will Zync allow the site text to search like past messages, historic chats that relate to the problem they're experiencing from their iPad?
Yeah, so you can search through the ServiceMax, a ServiceMax kind of work orders and products, from Zync through via their name or via the kind of core information about them that we have in Zync. There's a lot of, on the roadmap we have plans for deeper integration and kind of deeper search capability. But at the moment, it's just a matter of going to the Zync kind of, search interface and searching for the installed product or work order.
Yeah, and I would just say, because of the linkage to the work order or this installed product, that they could, if they know what that is, then they can just go back in and see that information.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Let's see, and I think we covered them all. I'm just taking a look here through the queue. We did. So very good. Feel free to submit questions after the fact. You can send them to myself, which is my email address is nsanders@zinc.it. There's plenty more information on the Zinc website as well. Just note our URL here on the screen is www.zinc.it. You can also request a free trial there. So if this looks like something that's interesting to you, it's always good to just get a quick overview that way. And we'll be hosting upcoming webcasts as well as participating in ServiceMax's upcoming events called Maximize. We'll both be in the Las Vegas and Boston locations, so hope to see you there and continue answering any questions you have or continue the conversation. So that concludes our webcast today. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a good afternoon.